wish I had something to do. Thanks for letting me sleep in, kids. If you make a mess in the kitchen, please let me know so I can clean it up. Raising kids is so easy. I just love driving around all day. Oh, I never have to repeat myself. They always listen so carefully. Oh, look! An empty box of cereal. Love it! Just wipe it out of your sleeve. It's pretty cold, but you don't need a coat. Oh, you don't have to push in your chair. Don't make your bed. You're just gonna sleep in it again later. I think I'll skip the coffee today. You know, these throw pillows look way better on the floor. I'm really not that busy. Well, you haven't showered in 3 days, but I think you smell great. We do have food at home, but let's just go out to eat. Just brush your teeth whenever you feel like it. Here, take my phone charger and go put it in your room. Oh, just leave your dirty dishes on the counter. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, let's all pull out our phones. Youth sports are so cheap. Braces are so cheap. School fees are so cheap. Hey, can you come crawl in bed with me around 2 a.m.? Thanks. Okay, I just spent 2 hours making dinner, but if you don't like it, that's fine. Just let me know and I'll make you something else. Don't even bother looking for that. I'm sure it's lost and gone forever. Can somebody please throw something at my head? I mean, I can't keep track of every single one of your things. I get a ton of sleep. I get a ton of gratitude from my children. I get a ton of unsolicited help with the housework. Oh, you don't have to hurry up. We're gonna be right on time. Can someone please throw something at the TV? Thanks for doing the laundry, everyone. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you use your outside voice? Wait. The floor of this vehicle is so clean, I can't believe it. Oh, good. Another trip to the grocery store today. Let's go. Hey, I'm gonna hop in the shower. Does somebody want to come use the bathroom while I'm in here?
We're taking a break for the next few weeks from our The Time Is Near Revelation Sermon Series. The title of this Mother's Day message is Wonder Woman, and it comes from the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and it's verses 10 through 31. Have you heard of the next Survivor show that they got planned? It's 6 men, and each man has 4 children. They're dropped off on an island with a van and the 4 kids for 6 weeks. Each of the kids plays 2 sports, and they either have music lessons or dance lessons. There's no access to fast food on this island. Each man must take care of his 4 kids. The house that he's assigned needs to be cleaned, and he has to correct all their homework, complete their science projects, and do all the laundry. The men have access to a television, but they can only watch it after the children go to bed and after all their chores are done. There's one television between all the men, and there's no remote control. They must be able to get a 4-year-old to eat green beans. The men have to shave their legs and apply makeup, either while they're making lunch or while they're driving the van. They'll be judged on how well they can make an Indian teepee using 6 toothpicks, a tortilla shell, and a magic marker. The winner gets voted off the island and gets to return to their old job. Today we pay honor to all the ladies who are mothers. Whether you're a physical mother, you're a grandmother, or a spiritual mother, we pay honor to you today. Motherhood is not only an adventure where you survive, but where you can thrive. God has blessed mothers with children. What an awesome responsibility it is to be a mother. But what makes a woman a good mother and a wife. It would be ridiculous for us to think that getting married makes somebody a good mother. It's also ridiculous to think that giving birth automatically makes someone a good mom. It would be just like saying that owning a barn makes you a good farmer, or owning a car makes you a good driver. The Bible describes this virtuous mother in Proverbs 31. The Proverbs 31 woman can be a threatening and foreboding creature. Perhaps that is why so many women have attacked and denied her reality, rejection. Perhaps that is why so many men have held her up as some sort of standard by which all women are measured. Oppression. But the reality of this is that she is not threatening. She's an image, a blueprint, really. Not an unrealistic one, but one that can actually be attainable. In Proverbs 31, verse 1, it tells us that as follows: the words of King Lemuel, the oracle which his mother taught him. So we are told right here that this is not some obscure thing that a man came up with to be able to measure the qualities of a woman. It's actually the advice of a mother to her son about what type of woman that he should seek for marriage. It says she is to be an excellent wife, for her worth is far above jewels. Because she is not in every single woman. This is a specific woman. She is not a measuring stick. She is a woman who would make a king look good. Proverbs 31 is like Paul when he directs Titus and Timothy on what type of a man they should look for leadership and ministry. And this is recorded in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 13, and also Titus chapter 1, verses 5 through 9. It's not talking about every man in these passages, but it's talking about men that they can look for that will be good candidates for leadership and ministry. This woman found here in Proverbs 31 would be the better candidate for any king seeking the woman that he wants to marry. She is not some measurement for women to feel like they have to live up to. She is simply the woman that a young king should desire to marry. Sure, like Paul's words here to Timothy and to Titus about the men they should seek for leadership, they provide a good example for men to live up to as well. So this text in Proverbs can provide a good example for women and the qualities that they should desire in their lives. But to impose this Proverbs 31 woman on all women would be a whole different matter altogether. What we see here in Proverbs 31 are character traits. She would demonstrate these qualities before marriage in such a way that Lemuel would be able to notice them and anticipate them becoming a reality after he marries her. To illustrate this concept, we see Eliezer being sent to find a bride for his master's son, Isaac. And this is recorded in Genesis 24. Eliezer prayed for a woman who would fulfill a certain test. She would care for Isaac's needs and also offer to assist him with his camels. Rebekah was beautiful in form, but he knew she was of the character he needed when she passed the test. This test provided a glimpse into Rebekah's soul, and it showed Eliezer what he needed for the wife of Isaac. In a similar way, Proverbs 31 provides character qualities that women should seek out. Let's turn to Proverbs 31 and read verses 10 through 31 together. Proverbs 31, starting in verse 10. A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of his life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gates. Guys, how would you like to have a woman that's a 10 or even a 12? I'm going to give you 12 things from this text that we just read. 12 things to think about. Now listen, I don't want you looking around grading your wife or grading other people's wife based on these categories. We all know that a 10 is unrealistic, and so is a 12. Men and children just remember one thing, that you're not perfect either. And ladies, likewise, I sure don't want you feeling guilty if you don't measure up to this Proverbs 31 woman. If you don't meet all 12 of these characteristics. I doubt that there's any woman that actually meets all of these. See, the proverb gives us a picture of an ideal woman. That's hard to live up to. The point is, actually, when you find something that is praiseworthy, you should give praise for that. Philippians 4:8 ends by saying, if there is any excellence and if anything worthy of praise, let your mind dwell on these things. If you can praise your wife or your mother or anyone for that matter, you should do it. Likewise, kids, you should praise your mother and your grandmother, your aunt, your Sunday school teacher, or any woman in the church, or any godly mother that has helped you along in your life, who has supported you or encouraged you. You should praise these women. So here is the list of the 12 qualities that this Proverbs 31 woman should possess. The first one is found in verse 11. The heart of her husband trusts in her. I wonder how many of us here today praise our wife or our mothers because we find her to be trustful and trustworthy. In fact, not only can you trust your mom to get things done, but she also always has a way of getting it done before we even ask, a lot of times. Moms have a sixth sense. They're Wonder Women. How many times have you said something like this, men? Honey, can you? And she just waits for you to finish and says, it's already done. I've already done that. How many times has that happened to you, men? I already took care of it. She does that because she is trustworthy and dependable. And in so doing, man, you can also trust that she is not talking behind your back. She's not saying bad things about you or hiding things from you. Trust is vital to a good relationship. Hey, if the lady in your family is trustworthy, you should praise her. Number 2 is in verse 12. She does him good all the days of her life. That tells me 2 things that I want to roll into this one point this morning. First, if a wife does you good, that means that she builds you up. And let me tell you, as men, we all know that there's many times that we're not worthy of being built up, of all the good comments that our wife bestows upon us. Women have that unique quality of telling their husbands and their children exactly what they both need to hear and what they want to hear. Indeed, they build us up and do us good. Moms are the only people in the world who can catch their husband or their children totally messing up terribly and smile and say, but you sure looked good anyway. Second, if a wife does good all the days of her life, that means that she is a close companion to you. Hey, an excellent wife and an excellent mother is also an excellent companion you love to spend time with. Good companionship is worthy of praise. Number 3 is recorded in verse 13. She works with her hands. This concept is actually repeated several times in this proverb. In verses 13, 19, and 24, we catch several images of the mother who sews to meet her family's needs. In verse 14 and 15, we're reminded that mom does the grocery shopping. And not only does she do the grocery shopping, afterwards she cooks the meal. The proverb even reminds us that women often work outside of the home. Verse 16 talks about her earnings. And verse 24 talks about her selling merchandise. When's the last time that you've thanked your wife or your mother because she earned some money to help support the family? Or because she sewed a button on your shirt, mended a pair of torn jeans, cooked you dinner, cleaned up after you? Verse 27 says, she does not eat the bread of idleness. Guys, this should remind us that we're not the only ones that are working. A lot of times we forget that. I'm guilty of that too. When I go to work several days of the week and I'm not home to see the work that's being done. Many of us are guilty of forgetting the work that our wives do and our mothers do. In fact, I say without any reservation at all, it's usually always ladies that help hold the church together. Praise the hard-working woman that goes the extra mile. Number 4, verse 15 says, she rises also while it is still night. And verse 27 says, she looks well to the ways of her household. That tells me that she cares greatly for her family. Oh, how thankful, man, we should be for the wife that gets up in the middle of the night to take care of a crying child. And I'm not just talking about a newborn child. I'm talking about those nights when the child wakes up sick. And man, we don't even know about it until we wake up in the morning. But mom knew about it. Her ears heard. She heard her child crying. She knew there was something wrong with her child. While we were sleeping the night away. I think verse 15 here really alludes to the early morning hours before the sun comes up. Mom's already up. Maybe she's been up for hours. She's up to get the kids ready for school, to make them breakfast and pack their lunches for the day. As a heavy sleeper that I am, I can testify that it's praiseworthy to have a mother, a mom, or a wife who is caring for the family. Number 5, verse 16. says she considers a field and buys it. That doesn't just speak to a mom's willingness to work. It speaks to her wisdom. Verse 26 even says she opens her mouth in wisdom. Guys, do you really value the input from your wives? I know the older I get, the more I learn to value Nicole's input. Let me tell you, if you have a wife that speaks wisdom, you better pay attention. They may just save you from embarrassment a time or two in your life. On top of that, a wise woman should be considered before us men make plans. And I actually think us as men can only be wise if we consult our wives in a matter. If we are smart enough to consult our wives before we steam ahead with our own plans, we are less likely to irritate our wives. And believe me, I have firsthand knowledge on that. Praise a woman for the wisdom that she imparts on her family. Number 6, verse 20 says, she extends her hand to the poor, and she stretches out her hand to the needy. If your woman in your house is compassionate, you should feel doubly blessed this morning. What a great quality that is to have in a woman, and it blesses everybody in the home. Number 7, verse 21. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Mom is always prepared. Kids, you should thank your mother every time she remembers something that you forget. How many times has that happened to you? Every time that she thinks of something that you don't think of. Every time she bails you out of a jam. Moms are always so prepared, aren't they? Just look at some of the purses that mothers carry around. Have you ever seen them dump out some of them purses and all the things that are in there? It's like they're ready to go to war, and they could go out and take care of a mass casualty event with some of the stuff that's in those purses.
All right.
Praise the woman that's always prepared when nobody else seems to be. Number 8, verse 22 says, she makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Guys, this one is probably the one that we like most. Women go to great lengths to look good for their men. When she does this, you better pay attention. And you better let her know that you noticed. Kids, the same is for you. When you see mom dressed up for something, let her know that she's looking good. Everyone should compliment mom when she makes herself attractive. Number 9, verse 23 says, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. You know what this means, men? It means that your wife is making you look good. And this may be in spite of the fact that we are acting as a jerk anyway. She still goes out of her way to make us look good. If your wife makes you look good and gives you a good reputation in front of people, you ought to bow down and kiss her feet. I know several women in my life who they continually went out of their way to make their husbands look bad. And this could be for a number of reasons. Praise be to the wife that makes you look good, who causes you to have an outstanding reputation in the community. Don't take that lightly, men. Number 10, verse 25 says, she smiles at the future. Oh, how pleasant it is to have a mother in the household who isn't always worried about things and fretting about everything. But instead, she's optimistic about the future and what it holds. Optimistic people are encouragers. They're dreamers. They set goals for the family. Don't you just love being around optimistic people? Men, give praise to your wife if she's optimistic. Looking ahead with pleasure. She just makes your life so much more pleasing. Number 11, verse 26, says, the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Oh, how blessed are you if your mother is a pleasant talker. If she's not a person who continually gripes and complains and whines about everything. A person who speaks with kindness is a teacher of kindness. Kids, you should thank your mothers when she models kindness in her speech, because it will rub off on you, and you will learn how to speak appropriately. Men, you should be thankful if your wife teaches your kids kindness. She surely makes up for the rough edges that we have, maybe some of the words that we've had slip out of our mouths at times in our lives. See, kids watch us. They're paying attention to us when we think they're not. You know, I can't think of many more things that are better than a woman who speaks with kindness. There's just something about a kind woman, isn't there? A good woman seems to have pleasant words for everyone. Why don't you love her back and speak those pleasant words back to her? Number 12, verse 30, says, a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. If your wife or your mother loves God, then you have it good. The Lord receives top priority. Her relationship with her family is defined by her relationship with the Lord. In closing, I'd like to share this old proverb with you. It says that flowers leave their fragrance on the hand that bestows them. The poem written about this says, this old Chinese proverb, if practiced every day, would change the whole world in a wonderful way. Its truth is so simple, it's so easy to do, and it works every time, and successfully too. For you can't do a kindness without a reward, not in silver nor gold, but in joy from the Lord. You can't light a candle to show others the way without feeling the warmth of that little ray. And you can't pluck a rose all fragrant with dew without parts of its fragrance remaining on you. Men, women love to receive flowers. That's because they attach meaning to those flowers. Why else would a mother be so happy when a child brings her a handful of dandelions? It's because she realizes what those flowers symbolize. So men, when we give flowers, we need to remember to attach significance to those in our mind. But we need to go beyond that. And we need to actually verbalize the thoughts and the feelings that those flowers represent too. Women need to hear our praises, and we need to give them praises. As this proverb that we just read says, the hands that give the flowers, they also receive a blessing.